There we go. Hey guys, how's it going? Just setting everything up. Can you hear me good? Alright. Well, today is a tale. Coming! Yeah? Sorry.
I'm going to do your bathroom tonight before we go to bed. Just to stay clean.
Okay.
So dry your feet before you walk out of the bathroom.
Okay. I'm just live streaming here.
Can you put the towels over by the other posters so that you're not right in the floor?
Hey, welcome to the stream. How's it going? Just getting everything set up here. Just want to make sure the audio is good. Can you guys hear me well? Hey, how's it going? How you been? Haven't streamed in a while, so I decided to come back on. Today's live stream is actually a live stream for donations for a film project that I would love to do. Here, who is? Oh, you mean me? Yeah, I had to go check on something, so. Oh, me? Yeah, I got that. Yeah, but anyway, today's live stream is for donations for a upcoming film project I would like to do. It's a horror anthology movie. It's reminiscent to movies like Tales from the Dark Side, the movie, Twilight Zone, the movie, Tales from the Crypt, Tales from the Hood. I really love horror anthologies. It's one of my favorite subgenres in horror films. So I wanted to take a stab at it. Hey, Rising, how's it going, man? How you been? Stab? I couldn't think of a better word. Oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah. Today's live stream is for donations for a horror anthology movie that I would love to do. I found an old script that I wrote back in 2013. I'm reworking some of the stories in there. Gut inflation. What do you mean by that, Rising? Oh, okay, I gotcha, I gotcha. Sorry, yeah, I want to talk a little bit about the initial idea for the project. The initial idea is it's something that's a throwback to films like Tales from the Crypt, Doctor Terror's House of Horror. It's very reminiscent to that style with a wraparound segment. What? What do you mean really now? What have we done that? Yeah, Tales from the Crypt, it's yeah, the initial idea is it's going to consist of 3 different stories with one linking segment that wraps everything together. And I'm working on the linking segment, which connects the stories. It's going to focus on a narrator, the storyteller, and I'm trying to think of an idea for a perfect setting that hasn't necessarily been done yet, or something that's that I think would be unique to do that most horror anthologies haven't done yet. I'm working on the idea of a door-to-door salesman named Avery who goes to the door and tries to pitch this book, trying to sell this book, and in order to get the potential customer interested, he reads a story from that book. And as the wraparound segment progresses, you find out there's a little more to this book salesman than what he's letting on. You find out he has a bit of a darkness to him. A vacuum cleaner salesman. And the 3 stories in there, I'll tell you this. The first story is very reminiscent to The Twilight Zone. No. The first story is called Death's Eye. It's, I can tell you a little bit of the outline. It's about a man who's very paranoid about death and how long he has to live. The talesman, yeah. And somehow he's given the ability to see into other people's death, like how other people are going to die around him, but he can't foresee his own. That's the first story, but it has a very Twilight Zone feel to it, and it's going to have a very Twilight Zone-esque twist ending. That's the first story. The second story is the only one that's a romantic story. It's a romantic story that is the only one that's sci-fi themed. And that's called The Shape of Love. And I think you would like where that story would go. Now let's just say it's going to have a couple of inflation scenes involved in that story in particular. It's so sweet. And oh, what do you think about that, Rising? And the final story is called Hatred and His Due. That story is actually heavily based off one of the last entries in the original script that I wrote. It's retooled though, of course. The first two stories were not included. Those are new stories I'm creating, but the last story is it's a variation of what I wrote back then. And that deals with a individual that's very racist that ends up getting a comeuppance, but in a very strange way. It's like the whole setup of, you know, the journey of what he goes through, like his trial becomes very unique. And the wraparound segment, the linking segment, is going to have, again, a very much like the ending to Tales from the Hood and Tales from the Crypt the movie, to kind of just give the movie a feel for the classic horror anthology films. And that's the initial idea for it. I just need help funding the movie, you know, for some of the story segments, in particular Hatred and His Due, because that's one story I would really love to tell. And I feel it would be perfect for this anthology. Like I said, the one that probably doesn't fit as well, but I'm doing it because I'm doing that particular story because it was a request from, you know, a viewer, and I thought it would be interesting to include that in the anthology, you know, to kind of give some variety. You have a very Twilight Zone-esque story to begin with, then you have a very romantic, you know, story, and then you have the dark story. Like the last story I'm going to end on is going to be the darkest one, part of the that's part of the main film. I don't know. Do you guys have any suggestions for... I'm also open to... I'm also open to suggestions and ideas that you guys may have, you know, for this. Though, like I said, the one thing I'm not too sure about... the one thing I'm not too sure about is the linking segment, because I haven't seen a traveling salesman idea done. Okay, I'm coming. I'll be back. I'll be right back. I'll come back for the rest of the stream.